Hey everyone, in this video we're going to break down exactly what you can expect to see in the real Kent test. Let's take a look. The Kent test will be split into 3 sections: paper 1, paper 2 and a writing task. Paper 1 consists of the English and maths test, which you will sit back to back. The English section of that paper will be split into 5 minutes for practice questions and 25 minutes to complete the paper itself. As you can see, this will be split into 2 main sections. Roughly half of the questions you'll face in the English paper will be reading comprehension, and the other half will be SPAG, that's spelling, punctuation and grammar. Now, out of spelling, punctuation or grammar, the test will include 2 of these, usually spelling and punctuation. This means that usually 1/4 of your available marks for English will be with spelling, and another quarter will be for punctuation. But just watch out, they may well sneak in grammar to replace one of them next time. Just be warned, when you finish the English section of paper 1, you cannot go back and change anything. So make sure before that timer hits 0, you've answered every single question. Now that the English paper is done, we can focus on the maths section, which we'll move on to immediately. Just like the English paper, the maths is also split into 2 sections. Firstly, 5 minutes for practice questions that aren't marked, and then 25 minutes for the real test. You'll get roughly 25 questions in this paper. That's 1 minute per mark. Guys, a little bit of advice on the maths paper. It's a super tricky section. It's not uncommon for children to not even finish the paper. So what you need to do is make sure you don't waste time on tricky questions. Move on and come back to them later. Pick up marks on questions you can do. When you've completed the maths section, that's it. You've finished paper 1 and it's time for a short break. After your break, you'll get back in your seat ready for paper 2, which is reasoning. The reasoning paper will be split roughly in half between verbal reasoning and non-verbal spatial reasoning. Just like paper 1, these 2 sections will be timed separately. So let's dive into the first section, verbal reasoning. As before with maths and English, you will get time to answer some practice questions in the verbal reasoning section, and then you'll get just 20 minutes to answer roughly 32 questions. That is less than 1 minute per question, so you need to work quickly in this section. Across those 32 questions, you'll get roughly 4 to 5 different question types, which you can complete in any order. So be sure to use that practice question time to figure out which ones you're more confident with and do those first. Pick up as many marks as you can as quickly as possible. So when you finish the verbal reasoning, it's time to move straight on to non-verbal and spatial reasoning. Now, the timings for non-verbal reasoning and spatial are different to English, maths and verbal. So far, you've had 1 chunk of time to complete all the questions in any order you like, but this changes when it comes to this section. You'll be given roughly 4 or 5 different sections, roughly 10 questions in each one, but each section will be individually timed. You're usually given about 5 minutes to answer those 10 questions, which some of you may have already calculated works out to only 30 seconds per question. Tricky. Once the timer goes on the final section of your non-verbal and spatial test, that's it. You've completed the main bulk of your Kent test. But just wait 1 second, because it's not over yet. Although you can pass this test on your English, your maths and your reasoning, and many children do, if you have to go through an appeal process, they like to gather some extra information, and this comes in the form of a writing task. In the writing section, you'll be given a list of prompts that cover a variety of different genres for you to choose from. You'll get 40 minutes, which includes 10 minutes of planning time to produce your best piece of writing. So let's just summarise what you will see when you sit the real Kent test. In paper 1, we start off with English, which consists of comprehension and then SPAG, and you'll immediately follow on to complete the maths section straight after. After a short break, you'll sit paper 2, which is the reasoning paper. This starts off with verbal reasoning, moving on to non-verbal reasoning and spatial reasoning. Once you've completed the first 2 papers of the test and had a short break, you'll come back to have a go at the writing task. So that's it. That is exactly what you can expect to find in the real Kent test. Now, if you are preparing for the big day, make sure that you check out the other videos on our channel and subscribe down below to see more content in the future. See you next time.